Welcome, I'm Melonie Nielsen, and I'm going to take a series of classes designed around yoga poses, some classic yoga poses, but we're going to take the yoga poses a little differently. The focus will not be on deep stretches. The focus will not be on perfect alignment. The focus is going to be on just encouraging more mobility, getting into a pose and just playing with it a little bit, encouraging a little bit more of the synovial fluid in our joints, and just waking the body up and getting it ready for bigger or deeper movements later. So this class, we're going to work with cat-cow or basic tabletop position, hands and knees position. So make it comfortable. We'll be here for a little while. You can grab a blanket to put down on your mat to make that more comfortable if you like. And this will be quite a few different movements. So if you need to pause at some point, just take a little rest, shake out your wrists, pull on them, adjust your body in whatever way to make it more comfortable, please do so. So let's come to our mat and let's come to hands and knees position. So when you arrive in your hands and knees position, you're just lining up the basic joints, the wrists underneath shoulders, knees underneath the hips, and do a little side to side with your hips. And again, we're not trying to go for the deepest stretch that we could do. Partly also, we're just kind of investigating. We're feeling, we're sensing, and we're getting to know our bodies a little bit more. Which side is a little easier to move to? How does it feel? Different to each side. And in this exploration, we're also just encouraging a very gentle range of motion. Now let's take this side to side and change it up. Let's do circles so that our hips and our heart are circling. So there's a little bit more movement here now at the legs as my legs go a little forward, go a little back, and also the heart. So you might feel your weight shifting on your hands. It's a little bit of a mobility exercise also for the wrists. And now reverse your circles. And again, you're just moving in the planes that feel pleasurable. It does not have to be the biggest motions you've ever done or the deepest stretch you've ever done. I like to do these mobility exercises before we take a big full yoga practice or really deep stretches or stretches that require us to need to be very flexible. Let's come back to center. So that was more of your whole body moving. Now I want you to take just the tail and try to move the tail in a circle. And if you get confused, which is quite common here, you could start out, just go tail up and tail down, tail up, tail down. And then you could go side to side tails, like you're wagging your tail. And then a circle is just a combination of those. So you'd go up, you go to the side, you go down to the other side. Up, side, down, other side. So make that your own creation of a circle as fluidly as you can. And then we're going to reverse our circle or our circle-like motion. Remember, it's not about being perfect on this. It's just about encouraging some mobility. And now we come back to neutral and let's take our torso, or if it helps you to think of your heart and your rib cage, and let's circle those. So you can kind of melt your heart and rib cage down, go to one side, round the back, other side, and down. And then you're just going to try to make it as kind of fluid, almost like, how water in a bowl would slosh around all the edges if you were to swish it a bit. So you're circling your middle. Now, can you reverse the direction of this circle? back to center. And then let's do a little leaning back so that takes some pressure off of the wrists for a moment. And again, if you need to circle them or adjust in some other way. And then let's go forward, kind of leaning into the hip flexors and back. So just a little forward and back motion. And again, you're moving in your comfort range of motion. Now, what if we change this up a little bit? Let's come back to center, pick our feet up, and swivel our feet to the left side of us. So our knees point just a little bit more to the right, and then lean back. And then come up, swivel our feet to the other side, lean back. Up, swivel, lean back. Up, swivel, lean back. Let's do a few more to each side. Let's do one more to each side. And then let's return back to center. And let's give a little focus to the wrists. Let's go a little side to side with our shoulders. So you feel the weight shifting to one hand and then the other. And because the hands can be an area that get tired after a while, let's now turn and flip the fingers out to the sides just to get a different angle and go side to side again. We're starting to get into the shoulders and the forearms a bit here too. And if you have the ability, now turn your fingers as much towards your knees as you can. Do not worry if they don't point all the way to the knees. So maybe you just turned a little bit in from where you were already, and then lean back and lean forward. So shoulders forward of the wrists, and then shoulders back of the wrists. And as I go back, I'm going to peel the wrist off the ground and just have the knuckles on the ground. Forward, they come down, and then back, the hand starts to peel off the floor. Forward and back, and forward and back, and forward and back. Now let's come back to center. If you need to shake them out a bit, go ahead and shake them out. And let's work more specifically the spine, but we're going to segment the spine. So we're going to do the lower spine first, then the upper back, and then the head, which will relate more to the neck. So I'm going to try to remain fairly still in the majority of my spine, except for this very lower region. So I'm going to take the tail as my main movements, lifting the tail to the sky so I get a little sway back in the lower back, and then the tail to the floor. Tail to the sky, tail to the floor. And yes, my upper back wants to participate a little bit, and I'm not trying to hold it rigid, but I'm also just not going the full range of motion that allows my heart and head to get at the play. So not like your regular cat-cow. Just the lower portion, segmenting it. Again, encouraging mobility and also investigating how we're moving. Now let's let that come to more of a neutral place. And then the heart, let's get the upper back involved. And this is a little bit more, you can think up-down motions. So you can puff your heart up to the sky and then melt your heart towards the floor. And yes, as you do this, you might notice your lower back wanting to come into play. And I'm not going to try to hold my lower back rigid, but I'm also not going to let it go wildly into movement. So the heart up, the heart down, you're going to feel your shoulder blades come away from each other and the shoulder blades towards each other. So this is also lovely for mobilizing the shoulders. And then let's come to someplace neutral, both with the lower back, both with the heart. And then let's take the skull and go skull down, skull up. Now what I'm not doing is looking up and looking down. So there's not a tilt of the skull, but I keep the sense that my neck is kind of open on all sides, open in the front, open in the back, and that stays relatively the same, but my chin and head gets closer to the floor, and then the back of the skull gets closer to the sky. So I go between those two. And then neutral. Now walk our hands over to the left side. So you're in a bit of a side bend. And do a little classic cat-cow here where you take the head down, tail down, and then the head up, tail up. You can coordinate this with the breath if you like. Exhale the head down, tail down. Inhale the head up, tail up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. And again, exhale down. Inhale up. Let's walk it over to the other side. So we side bend it. And we do a little tail down, head down. And inhale, tail up, head up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. One last one. Exhale down. Inhale up. Let's return it back to center. And pick the left knee off the ground so the leg is bent and try to circle the knee. Imagine it like a little flashlight, the kneecap is, and you're shining that flashlight all around the room as much as you can. And then we're going to reverse the direction. And then we'll set back down. We'll do the other side, circles. And then we'll reverse direction, we'll circle. And then back down. Then take the left leg straight out. So I have the foot, the knee, the hip all roughly in the same line with each other. And lower down to your forearms. This will give the wrists a little bit of a break. And then do a little cat-cow here. Tail down, head down. Tail up, head up. Exhale, kind of rounding. Inhale, arching. Exhale, rounding. Inhale, arching. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch. Let's do one more. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch. And then we're going to lean back and lean forward. If you want a bigger feel to this, you could always widen the length of your leg out a bit more. Then you'll have to readjust your arms so they're roughly underneath the heart. And then we go back, we go forward. We go back, we go forward. Back, forward. And a few more. And last one. And then we'll come up to arms. We'll take that leg back in, send the other leg out, lower down to forearms, and head down. You can imagine tail down. Your next inhale, head up, tail will naturally go up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. One last one. Exhale down. Inhale up. Now decide if you want to take it a little longer in your stride and then go back with the hips and forward. Again, it's not having to be the biggest stretch you've ever done. We're just kind of meeting and greeting our bodies in different planes, checking out our different range of motion, lightly encouraging and nudging a little more mobility. and then back to center. Now let's add a little bit of twist to the spine, and let's pick the left hand up. You can keep your arm bent, and then thread the arm over to the right side a bit so your heart turns, and then open it up to the left side. And it's okay to even keep your elbow bent, which will encourage the shoulder not to do all of the work for you, but to actually get the spine to do the work. So we turn to the right, we open to the left. Turn to the right, open to the left. Couple more, turn to the right, open to the left, turn to the right, open to the left. Now we touch that down, we take the right hand and we turn to the left, we open to the right, turn to the left, open to the right, turn to the left, open to the right, turn to the left, open to the right. Couple more, turn to the left, open to the right, and last one, turn to the left, open to the right, come back down. Now let's take a basic child's pose, stretch your hips back, and you can have many options for the arms. You could walk your arms forward in space, kind of tips of the fingers on the floor, tugging at the floor. You could rest with your arms as wide as the mat at a 90 degree and let the head touch the ground. Or one of my favorites, you could walk those long arms over to the left side, side bend it, and kind of bow over your front leg. And then walk it over to the other side. And back to center, come back up. I hope you enjoyed that play with cat-cow, and there'll be more to come, so stay tuned. You could also follow me on Patreon, where I have more videos that go into a lot more details and full-length classes. So see you soon.